Hello everyone, Tasty Waffle here. I'd like to talk about the movie ParaNorman, directed by Sam Fell and Chris Butler. This is a stop-motion animation film in this string of Halloween-related movies released this year. ParaNorman is the story of a young man who can see dead people and communicate with them, and no one else can, so it makes him a rather odd character. I actually quite enjoyed the film. I thought it visually looked very nice. It was actually surprisingly more thoughtful a movie than I thought it would be. Surprisingly deeper. And surprisingly sad in a way. But before I get into the bulk of my review, I would like to talk about the idea of children's movies. I'm just going to say that I don't believe in the idea of children's movies or kids' movies. Certainly there are movies that pander to children and certainly have elements that they might enjoy. ParaNorman is not one of them. The problem, I think, with marketing is a lot of times the companies assume that because it's an animated film, it's meant for children. ParaNorman is really, I think, would be impossible for a child to really grasp, and it might prove a little bit too gruesome for any child under 10. Just to talk briefly about some of the content, there is a few cases of profanity, and some of the humor is very, very morbid and dark, which I enjoyed, but I don't think would be appropriate for younger children. Any child under the age of 10, I really don't think this movie would be for them. Now, with the idea of children's movies, the problem is, as I was saying earlier, I don't believe in the idea of kids' movies. And I think it's a mistake when the companies market them to children. Those of you who remember last year's film Rango, which is one of my favorite movies of last year, had this same problem. It was marketed as a kids' film, but there was really nothing in there that children could understand or appreciate. Also had some use of profanity, which some found distasteful. Same goes for ParaNorman. It's really not a kids' film. And that being said, it is a very good film, and I think all films should be looked at from a point of view of an adult. Because I think the problem with children's movies is people may assume it's appropriate for children when in fact it is not. ParaNorman, as I said before, is not really appropriate for anyone under the age of 10. I enjoyed the dark sense of humor and the more adult story, I suppose. But I think that it would be a mistake to bring any young child here. And those of you who may not be too much into morbid humor and gore and zombie-related disgustingness, which I actually found entertaining, but that being said, it is a film that is definitely worth the view for more mature audiences. It really surprised me in terms of how deep and how thoughtful it is, and how sad and somber in a way. It doesn't really have a lot of humor. I mean, it does have some things that are quite funny, but it's not really the point of the movie. It's not just like a parody of The Sixth Sense, or The Sixth Sense for kids. This movie is not really for kids, but it's definitely worth the time. It's well voice acted. It's stop motion animation, which looks great, and it surprisingly takes a look at some very sad ideas, I suppose. But it's definitely worth the watch, but not for younger children. And that's my review of ParaNorman. Thanks. Bye bye.